Alright, everybody. Welcome back. I'm finally streaming again. Finally, another segment. And I am in Seattle, in my tiny house. It is so cute. It is very small, but it is perfect for me and my needs. I am loving it here, and I'm so excited to be back to streaming, and I'm hoping that you guys enjoy the new change of scenery in the background for my streams. I certainly am. I love this new change of scenery. It feels like I'm on vacation almost. But also I'm still streaming. I don't know, it feels very cool. It's a very nice feeling I have right now, streaming in this new sort of dope-ass setting, my own place, all on my own. It's so fun. It's so liberating. I'm a big fan. Regardless, oh, and I also went to IKEA for the first time yesterday and got a blowhigh, so there it is. Look at the little trans shark up there. That's for all the transes in my chat to look at and get all happy every time they see it. Even in the saddest, most downtrodden of segments, they can look at the little blowhigh and feel a tinge of hope, whatever the word is. Anyway, a lot's happened while I was gone, while I was getting ready for the move, and while I was actually on the move and road tripping across the country with Demon Mama, or up the country, I guess. Some stuff happened. For starters, our favorite Grifter, and by the way, I have completely abandoned any pretext in which Blaire White is not a grifter, okay? I'm not sure if you guys, haven't kept up with Blaire White and the whole saga with her or not, but I'll catch those of you who aren't caught up very quickly. Blaire White is, as many of you will probably already know, a massive pick-me. She's always been, the most transphobic trans person, the super popular conservative trans person who is, mean girl bimbo aesthetic and all of that, very wealthy, loves her big houses and big, expensive cars and all that, and her expensive clothes. This is not unknown about her. However, she is 100% a grifter. So many people are kind of charitable with her and say, oh, maybe she actually believes the stuff she says. Maybe she's genuine in all of this. Maybe she's just really, really stupid. And even I thought that for a long time. But at this point, the amount of evidence that she's just a grifting piece of shit has mounted to the extent there is no denying that's the case at this point. So, for starters, we'll start here. Blaire White faked her political compass test results in possibly the most blatant, and while it's not the most horrible, serious thing in the world to fake a political compass test, it just makes it clear that she's willing to lie about her political opinions if it gets her more viewers and more money. She's got no soul, she's got no honesty, she is just a liar through and through. With that said, the political compass test result thing was really, really funny because she did a big political compass test thing on her video, because her fans wanted to see what her political compass test results would be. And what she actually scored as her results was libertarian left. Not super far in the bottom left quadrant, but still libertarian left. That was not a good look for her, though, based on her audience demographic, right? If you know Blaire White's audience, they wouldn't be too big on that, and I think she knows they wouldn't be too big on that. So, and we have evidence of all of this that I'll explain in a minute. Here's what Blaire White did. She went to Google Images and searched, in the images, libertarian political compass test result, because a libertarian is what she markets herself as, a right-wing libertarian. She copy-pasted, she copied an image of a libertarian political compass test result, inspect elemented on the page where she got her results, and then changed the results into libertarian test results on the page. Just the image, though. She was very much not, smart in the way that she did it. This is why she left so much evidence behind. Here's how we know she did this, okay? When you take a political compass test result and you put in a certain sequence of answers and you get a certain result, the URL is the same for that result every time for when you get to the end of the test and you get your results. The URL for the page is the same for that result every single time. If you take a test and I take a test and we put in the same answers, we get the same result and the same URL to that page every time. So people typed in exactly Blaire White's result and found out what her actual result was. Granted, you didn't even need to do that to find out that she'd, faked her result, because you could literally see, because she forgot to close it, a tab open right next to the tab that she was using that literally said her search, what she had searched, and it said Libertarian Political Compass Test result. You could literally see the tab where she'd searched that in Google Images still open in her video because she forgot to close it and hide her tracks. Even then, we would have figured it out, but still, she just done such a bad job of hiding it, which I think is pretty funny. So that's just like one example of like a very simple and not really serious, instance of her lying in order to grift to her audience, because she is a massive pick-me who's doing this all for the money and lying about her beliefs. But another instance of this where she actually caused harm, where she was forced to apologize, though people forgot about this pretty damn quick, didn't they, was the Janae Marie Kroc situation, where she blatantly lied about a trans woman competing with cis women in weightlifting, I believe it was. And it was just a blatant lie that she made up. In fact, an image that Blaire showed in her video on screen showed Janae Marie Kroc saying, "I do not compete against cis women or in any women's leagues." And yet Blaire White still claims it in the video because it's useful to her narrative. And she got called out by Janae Marie Kroc's fans because, she got a bunch of harassment for these false claims Blaire White levied her way. And, Blaire White had to retract that. Not that there's anything wrong with, Janae Marie Kroc if she had been competing against cis women, but, it was still a lie, because it was a lie that, in Blaire White's world, would make her argument look better. And then, of course, I think there was also her deliberately clipping a page from the Canadian Cancer Institute, Canadian Cancer Society, their page on, what's the vaginal cancer called? Cervical cancer, yeah. Their page on cervical cancer, to try to claim that trans women can't get cervical cancer to make some, trans TikTok users look stupid and crazy. But as it turns out, the paragraph right under where she had deliberately clipped and cut the page to make it look like trans women can't get cervical cancer, deliberately says trans women who have gotten bottom surgery can get cervical cancer and should get checked for it. So Blaire White was just deliberately spreading medical misinformation about trans women who've gotten bottom surgery to try to push this narrative that trans women who claim they need to get checked for cervical cancer are crazy. So she really is willing to just lie in the most blatant and harmful ways, and even in the most provable ways, because she knows that she's too popular with idiots to actually get called out, and for those call-outs to mean anything. Blaire White has been getting called out on some of the most blatant lies for years now. It has been known that she is not an honest actor for years now. Her fans don't care because they're too casual in some areas, and in other cases too brainwashed and stupid to care in other areas, right? So I just hope that occasionally, the rare, reasonable Blaire White fan stumbles across one of these videos that I make about her, and, they have their eyes open to how fucking dishonest she is. Decide to make a risky post, and I say it was a risky post because I don't know how she couldn't have, thought, oh, this is going to cause problems when she posted it. She must have. She posted some selfies, which I'll show in a moment, along with this caption. If you see a bulge in a conservative woman's pants, it's a gun. If you see a bulge in a liberal woman's pants, it's a penis. Now, the funny thing is, Blaire White claims to be a conservative woman. Is this her announcing she got bottom surgery? Is that what she's doing here? Is that her way of announcing she got bottom surgery or something? Because as far as I'm aware, she has a penis. Is she trying to claim she's cis now? How funny would that be if Blaire White was just like, oh, by the way, I was cis this whole time. I was pretending to be trans the whole time to own the transes. That would be honestly next level. If Blaire White took the grift there, I would have to support that. I would have to support the grift if it went that far. If she just said fuck it all You know? I mean, she's looking good here, of course. She's looking great. Good job at the gym and all that. However, as you can imagine, no one was happy with this. Nobody is happy with this. You have to understand, Blaire White's fans find her disgusting. They think she's a horrid freak, and they only accept her or, like, tolerate her because she is a weapon that has been turned against her own kind in their mind, okay? So they do not like her doing something like posting a, like, selfie where she sexualizes herself. That is like a blatant engagement in degeneracy and sexual fetishism to the conservatives. So, like, a lot of right-wingers got mad at her for this. And not only that, but, like, a bunch of lefties just started calling her stupid, because it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? As far as everyone knows, you've got a dick and a gun, and you're a conservative woman. This doesn't make any sense. What are you saying here? Is this just, like, meant to make no sense or something? What, are you being deliberately stupid? The truth is, she probably was being deliberately stupid. I will say, my favorite response to this tweet came from Sam Collins, I think it was, who said, if you see a bulge in a liberal man's pants, it's a penis. If you see a bulge in a conservative man's pants, it's a gun. It's pretty good meme. It might have been the other way around, but it was a good post. It was a good meme. With all that said, though, Blaire White got absolutely roasted because of this. Just ratioed to hell. And because of that, she made a Cope live stream. It's an hour and 11 minutes long, so we are not watching the whole thing, but we are going to watch at least some of this live stream. And we're going to watch and see, is it really a live stream, or is it just her, like, ranting for an hour? I don't know. It might not even be a live stream. It's on her second channel called The Blaire White Project. So let's go ahead and check this out.
This episode of The Blaire White Project is sponsored by Green Chef. Green Chef is an amazing meal kit delivery service that I have personally been using ever since I started sponsoring this podcast, and they are awesome.
Isn't it wild how many of these companies are completely fine sponsoring these, like, genocide-supporting YouTubers? Like, how many of these random, like, VPN and, like these popular companies that sponsor, like, every popular YouTuber, they also sponsor, like, the popular Nazi YouTubers and, like, the ones that are super far right and support, like, I mean, Blaire White can't say it, but she supports the genocide as long as she gets to make money off of it. That's the writing's on the wall. The right wants to do a genocide on trans people. Blaire White would only be excluded from the genocide for so long, and that's what she's counting on, is that she'd be excluded from said genocide for a hot minute. Long enough to enjoy all the wealth and blood money she's made along the way.
Awesome, I swear by them. Green Chef makes eating well easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free. Oh my god. Oh, by the way, every single one of these meal plan, like, whatevers, like, what's the other one? HelloFresh, all a scam. All a scam. All you're paying for there is your laziness, okay? Quit being lazy and just come up with a fucking meal plan. It's not that hard, okay? You're wasting so much money. It's really not worth it. It's a complete fucking scam. Don't do it. Or just looking to eat more balanced meals, Green Chef offers a range of recipes to suit your preferences. So go to greenchef.com/Blaire60 and use the code Blaire60 to get 60% off plus free shipping. That is greenchef.com/Blaire60. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Blaire White Project. So it was a bit of a slow news week this week, and so I was sitting around thinking, what am I going to cover on the podcast? But the most amazing thing happened this week, which is I got to be the story. So as usual, the queen of controversy, which was actually
Do you guys ever wonder if Blaire White, like, enjoys the hate she gets? Like, do you think she has, like, some kind of, like, do you think she's, like, so beyond the plot that she enjoys doing evil at this point? Or do you think it's just she doesn't care as long as she makes money from it? Has her heart truly been blackened to the extent that evil deeds bring her joy? Or is it just, there's nothing there, she's just empty, and she's doing it for the money? I want to see what you guys think on this one. Comment down below.
Title dubbed to me by Penthouse Magazine, I didn't say that myself, they said it first, has a controversy to address. We have a few stories. We have a really controversial drag story, drag show for kids They keep amplifying. We have drag being banned in Tennessee, so the libs say, but of course that's an emotional lie, really. We have some Maryland.
Basically, what the Tennessee bill does is not only ban drag in the presence of kids, it also potentially, because of the wording of the bill, may even ban trans people being like dressing and like behaving and being themselves in the presence of kids, because they would label that as like cross-dressing or drag and thus sexual activity in front of kids, and it would be criminalized. Yes, that is what's happening. So Blaire White, like, full on, she's just going to completely, to be clear, by the way, Blaire White is not honest, okay? Like, Blaire White's not some honest, like, wayward soul who just needs to see the light or anything. Blaire White is watching as all of her political allies advocate for her existence to be criminalized. Like, that is what she is watching happen. And she doesn't care as long as she makes that money, money, money. That's all she's in it for. Okay, so I'm guessing she's just gonna pull the full, like, cope. Oh, I was trolling the left and the right. Oh, everybody's making fun of me right now. I'm getting attacked from the left and the right now. Oh, I really did epically troll them. They're so mad and triggered at me. Whoa ho ho. It's literally the comic of, like, the guy who's pissed himself and everybody's pointing and laughing at him, and he thinks to himself, heh, rent free.
The most amazing thing happened this week, which is I got to be the story. So, as usual, the Queen of Controversy, which was actually titled dubbed to me by Penthouse Magazine, I didn't say that myself, they said it first, has a controversy to address. We have a few stories. We have a really controversial drag story, drag show for kids. They keep amplifying. We have drag being banned in Tennessee, so the libs say, but of course that's an emotional lie, really. We have some Marilyn.
Oh yeah, we already covered this part earlier.
Manson news, some really important Marilyn Manson news. You guys know I covered that a couple years ago, the alleged rape allegations against him, and those allegations seem to be falling apart, which I'm personally happy about as a fan of Marilyn Manson. The gym shop teacher with the big prosthetic yitties. We have a lot to talk about, but first let's...
Wait, oh no, is she actually going to acknowledge that the whole giant prosthetic titty trans quote-unquote teacher thing was a complete psyop? For those of you guys that don't know, you remember, like, the giant prosthetic titty trans teacher thing that was, like, the center of conservative anti-trans culture war shit for, like, 3 or 4 months? Do you guys remember all that? Complete psyop, as expected. Confirmed now to be a psyop. The damage has already been done, as usual, and nobody will actually... Like, it's none of, like... The truth coming out will have no impact on the fact that, like, the damage has been done. It's over, you know, but yeah, it's just good to know that as always, it was just a complete right-wing psyop being used to try to make a minority group look bad. Because you have to remember, the right basically builds their propaganda, like their hate against certain minority groups, entirely on anecdote. It's what Blaire White does, right? She's a hate merchant. She needs people to be transphobic to watch her videos, and she needs to make people more transphobic with them. So how does she make her audience more transphobic? By finding small examples of trans people doing bad things, or hell, not even trans people doing bad things, just trans people doing cringy things, and then twisting it into some moral or immoral action that she can morally judge them for. Elaborate on the psyop. Like, the teacher wasn't trans. It was just a fucking meme meant to bring attention and troll. That was literally what it was.
Let's address the elephant in the room. I may or may not have broken the internet this week with, especially if you're on Twitter, although really any platform. I'm getting tagged on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. My bikini AR-15 pictures. So this tweet has how many views? 8.2 million views, Jesus. If you were on Twitter, you've definitely seen the controversy I caused with these pictures. I posted these selfies, which first of all, I just thought more than anything were just bomb-ass selfies. And you guys know I'm an ardent, Second Amendment supporter, and I'm also an adamant tranny. Like, that's just what I am. So I tweeted this with what I thought was an obvious troll caption, but apparently even the people who consider, themselves to have a sense of humor don't. I tweeted saying, if you see a bulge in a conservative woman's pants, it's a gun. If you see a bulge in a liberal woman's pants, it's a penis.
One of my favorite conservative cope methods is the "it was a joke" method, right? Every time a conservative wants to try to make an argument that is somewhat controversial, they always couch it in the possibility they were just joking. The concept is called Schrodinger's asshole. Like, you never really know whether or not they're really an asshole or if they're joking. It's the response that they get that determines whether or not it was a joke. So if Blaire White posted this, and all of her conservative fans had responded, "True, real, true," she would not be saying this was a joke. She'd be saying, "I posted this based and true statement along with a selfie on Twitter, and everyone agreed with me." That's what she'd be saying. But because she's getting shit on by both sides for this post, now it's a joke all of a sudden. Schrodinger's asshole.
And then, of course, obviously, it's like a bit of a mind F because it's a trans woman with a gun, but also it's like, listen, I have been doing this for 7 years. I know exactly what response I'm eliciting. I know exactly the tornado I'm causing. And if you think for a second that I wasn't trying to troll both sides with this picture, maybe give me a little bit of credit, you know? So I've done this post before.
This is very explicitly. If any group was supposed to be trolled, it's supposed to be the left. How many times have you seen this exact sentiment, certainly worded differently, but this exact sentiment said by a conservative figure, said by Blaire White herself before, in all sincerity? This is a very common transphobic conservative comment. It's an argument they make. It's not trolling or a joke just because people made fun of you for it. You can't roll it back and try to cope like that, Blaire.
I think it was like a year ago or so. And it was me holding the same gun in like an outfit with like a skirt or whatever. And it caused an uproar. I definitely went a little bit viral on like Reddit and stuff like that. But I was like...
Also, we know she wasn't trying to troll the right. Because to be clear, the right pay her bills. The right are out there watching her videos, paying her bills, paying for her nice fancy pink cars, and her giant house. She's not out there trying to troll the right. She makes her money trolling the left. This is her doing damage control, so her right-wing fans continue to give her money through their views, their donations, their Patreon, whatevers. All of that.
Let me turn it up a notch and do a whole ass bikini shot. Let me just make it that much more salacious. And there.
Thank you, Cherry.
That got set on fire. So being a trans person who is on the political right and sort of, you know, I'm not trying to sound egotistical here. People can attribute that to me if they want. I don't really care. I know my heart. You know, I kind of created that sort of lane. Of course, there was like log cabin Republicans in the 90s and stuff. But in terms of like YouTube and like making it like a main conversation of like being able to be LGBT and on the political right, it's like I definitely helped carve out that lane, especially for trans people. Gay men, there's a few. Trans women. Hi, Caitlin, you were number 2.
I absolutely love that she like proudly takes like credit for starting one of the most like horrible communities online. The pick-me conservative trans community. The funny thing is, unlike what conservatives believe, trans people are real, and anybody can or could be trans. Like, not anybody can be trans. Anybody could be trans. Like, of any upbringing, from any family, from any part of the world, raised in any religion or political household or political belief system, as you can imagine, a trans person can come out of that place. And they can grow up with a lot of those same values and still be trans. It's so funny that those same people, who themselves will be trans, still hold these conservative values that, like, trans people are fake, trans people are, like, for the most part, completely made up, and they're the only real trans people, and it's, like, super duper rare. I don't know. I do find it funny. Because it's not just Blaire White. There are plenty of pick-me, like, conservative trans people out there that don't make $1 off the internet or off their political beliefs. They just believe these things and are idiots for completely free.
And so being that person, I'm in a unique position to troll everyone. I'm in that unique position to give everyone a reason to lose their shit. So the greatest thing about this was that every side got really mad. So we have Brian Krasenstein, top reply on the tweet, who says, "Why do looks and physical appearance always get mixed up with political stance in a conservative's mind? Posting half-nude photos of yourself holding an assault rifle on social media to make a point doesn't exactly exude a lot of confidence in what you're saying. Why is America blah, 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 blah." So first of all, I love how if you don't know, this is like an infamous, like leftist, like DNC paid, like moron. I like how they immediately go to shaming me for my appearance. I love how the male feminist immediately goes to, "Why are you posting in a bikini?" Listen, I have a country you can definitely go to if you're offended by that. Saudi Arabia. Same with all the conservatives and Chad are upset about it. If you don't want to see people
The tweet says, "Why do looks and physical appearance always get mixed up with political stance in a conservative's mind?" Posting half-nude photos of yourself holding a rifle on social media to make a point doesn't exactly exude a lot of confidence in what you're saying. They're not commenting on your appearance. They're saying, why do conservatives think looking attractive means your positions are right? Posting an attractive picture with a gun does not make your point look better. And she's like, he's attacking my appearance. It's like, how is that your read? You guys really have to understand the vast majority of the people who watch Blaire White probably aren't even looking at the screen. They're listening on their phone or on their TV while they fold their laundry or some shit like that. They aren't looking at the screen. They aren't actually going to read the tweet that's on screen and realize, wait a second, that doesn't say what Blaire White's saying it does. Wait, Blaire White didn't even click show more so we can see the entire tweet. I wonder why she wouldn't do that.
Bikinis, trans or otherwise, Saudi Arabia is wide open. Then you have Tim Pool replying to that person that's not an assault rifle, ratioing the hell out of him. So the greatest thing about this tweet, I feel like I'm at my best when both sides are mad. I feel like that's one of my best work, is that the leftists called it transphobic, and the far right or tradcons think that I'm like trying to seduce straight men and I'm pro-trans and everyone got.
I like how one of the accusations she wants to argue against that the right were accusing her of is she's pro-trans. She is here to denounce the accusation from her right-wing audience that she is now pro-trans. Extraordinary.
Got what they wanted out of that picture. Everyone got the rage that they wanted to feel out of that picture. And the best thing is, I'm just there in the middle, like, actually, I'm just doing me, right? So it's been very funny. You have, of course, all the, like, far-right religious people coming out, and this person, Morgan Ariel, who did the cringiest video. She has copyrighted music over it, of course, I can't post it, but basically, she put this tweet up. Conservatives are playing a dangerous game, playing along with this insanity, thirst-trapping straight men into having sexual thoughts about the same sex while counterfeiting as a woman is wicked. Please repent, Blaire White. And she has a little green screen looking like shit. I don't know why I would never.
Blaire, that's not a green screen. That's the phone's built-in, like, TikTok green screen cutout background. That's the TikTok black out your background and put you in front of the screen thing that's built into TikTok. What? Don't you use TikTok? Have you, like, I don't use TikTok. I've never once had TikTok, like, I mean, I've used it, like, briefly before, I think, but I've never, like, watched videos on it or whatever, right? And I know that that's a filter built into TikTok that lets you cut yourself out and put stuff behind you. That was the most bizarre dig I've ever heard in my life, like, on her shitty green screen. Blaire, aren't you, like, a social media demagogue? Don't you know how these big new social media sites work? Don't you have an audience on TikTok? I don't know. That just stood out to me. I'm sorry. That frustrated me because I like tech. I'm a tech guy.
Straight men into having sexual thoughts about the same sex while counterfeiting as a woman is wicked. Please repent, Blaire White. And she has a little green screen looking like shit. I don't know why I would never, if I was trying to diss someone who looked hotter than me, I would never show up on camera with my hair in a messy bun looking like shit to do it. Just saying, I would try to look my best. But regardless, it's funny because
you know for a fact that if this lady was in a call with Blaire White would be crying and like begging for approval. We've seen what Blaire White does when she actually encounters, like, a real hardcore transphobe one-on-one. She does not defend herself or get all snappy and all like, you can't talk to me like that when your hair's looking like she does not have anything to say when she's in a one-on-one combo with a transphobe who's calling her a man or saying she should grow out her beard. Because we've seen that happen, and she fell apart. She basically resorted to begging for approval from the crazy Nazi lady who was calling her a man and telling her to grow out her facial hair and just call herself a man. Yeah, I like how Blaire in her video has all these, like, responses to this transphobe, but in an actual convo, she would just fall apart. Which, you know, it doesn't mean that if you're trans, you know, it's bad or you're bad if you can't, you know, own a transphobe when they attack you. But I do think it's funny that Blaire White's trying to put up this front of, like, yeah, I'm super... I super don't stand for that shit when it's thrown my way in her video. But in reality, she's just gone the second someone throws that her way. She'll literally beg for their approval.
while I have every understanding of like a religious perspective, I'm not religious, so I don't relate to it. I understand how like me being me to sin, I get it if you're that person. However, thirst trapping straight men. So is your argument that I am secretive about being trans?
By the way, it is not gay if you are a straight man to be attracted to Blaire White, okay? I don't think it's gay if you're a straight man to be attracted to trans women, period, regardless of, like, their presentation. But particularly Blaire White, like, if you show the average person on the street who doesn't know who she is a picture of Blaire White, they're going to assume that she is a cis woman, okay? If you show a video of Blaire White to people on the street, they're going to assume she's a cis woman, okay? This weird idea that, like, you have to be ashamed of yourself as a, like, the idea that you have to be ashamed of yourself for your sexuality, like, no matter what, is pretty stupid. But if you're, like, a straight guy, and for some reason the idea of being gay is, like, icky to you, like, it makes you feel a little icky, and you're like, ugh, I don't like that, it is... You realize that being attracted to Blaire White means you're attracted to, like, hyper femininity, right? Like, it's so bizarre to me how many of these dudes have this, like, because I've seen it. There are tons of guys in Blaire White's audience who are clearly, like, straight dudes who are attracted to Blaire White and are so terrified of the idea of being gay that they turn their attraction to Blaire White into this weird, like, subtle hate, but they hate watch her, but they horny hate watch her. It's really bizarre.
First of all, she's getting, like, read to filth. Like, this video is so cringe. Even, like, a lot of religious people are like, are you stupid? I'm, like, one of the most public trans people on the planet. I've been open about being trans my entire career, thirst trapping straight men. So is your argument that I can't be hot and be trans? Because if I look like a man, you'd be saying I look like a man. So is the argument that if I wasn't putting any effort, then it's like, look at this trans woman not putting any effort, and then I do look hot, and it's, look at this trans woman thirst trapping straight men. If your sexuality can be shifted...
Wow, holy shit, you're so close, Blaire. It's almost like every transphobic argument makes no fucking sense, and it's all based in hatred. If only you didn't sell your soul years ago to try to make millions of dollars off these people, maybe you'd actually be able to complete this line of logic and bring it to where it naturally ends.
By seeing a picture, maybe you weren't so steadfast in that sexuality to begin with. Right? Because you could show me the picture of the hottest woman. Say I challenge you, change my sexuality, show me the hottest woman on the planet.
Who?
I still wouldn't be attracted to women. I mean, pretty sure a picture can't change someone's sexuality. And if it can, maybe...
Wow, cringe. Imagine not being attracted to women.
You weren't so strong in that sexuality to begin with. But regardless, I mean, that was really funny because it's just like, thirst trapping straight men. So I can't look good? Girl.
Wait, she's not... This is pre-recorded. And she's not doing the best job of responding to this now. I feel like I just want to show this alongside the, what was her name? Karen Witzke? Lauren Witzke, I believe was her name. Oh my god. Michael Knowles to Blaire White, should I call you he or she? From Daily Wire 5 years ago. Wait, I might have stumbled across something even better.
Brings up the right-wing resistance.
For those that don't know, Michael Knowles is a demon. He might actually be sent by the devil from hell to punish humanity for its sins. And by that I mean bring a significant amount of Americans over to the side of the demons. Yeah.
To transgenderism, to the movement of transgenderism, to a lot of the activism that comes out of it. I think a lot of it is about the pronouns.
Are you ready to see, like, how much less genocidal conservative rhetoric was 5 years ago? Are you ready to see how milquetoast and not a big deal this rhetoric is going to be in comparison to the straight-up genocidal shit they're pushing now? They were way more mask on back then. I wonder if he's just going to straight-up, like, be transphobic as fuck to Blaire White, or if it's going to be just way more mask on compared to now. Because they've gotten so much more brazen in their desire to do violence on the trans community in the last couple years.
And I struggle with this myself. I don't know which to use, because my reason tells me, just as you said, you know, you're born a man, you'll die a man, but you now certainly resemble a woman, you don't look like a man. So my reason tells me it would be objecting to reality to say she. And yet, you're my guest, you're my friend, my politeness would object to calling you he.
Damn, this is so far removed from the literal, like, we need to exterminate transgenderism shit they're saying now. It's literally, I told you guys like a couple years ago that a new anti-SJW like far right resurgence was coming, and that they were going to be way more popular. They were going to control the culture war online space, and their rhetoric was going to get more insane. And I also predicted pretty well, I must admit, that it would center around trans people and teachers. I remember back in 2019 saying the trans rights issue is going to be the thing in the next few years. It was, the writing was on the wall. These people, if you've paid attention to what these people have been saying, it's been clear none of it has been honest. These people saying, "Oh no, we just want to have a night. We just want to have a conversation. We have questions. We just have a conversation." These people are never honest. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. 5 years ago, they were being polite to trans women they were having on their shows. Now they're calling for the extermination of transgenderism.
And obviously, in terms of,
I think we've seen enough of this anyway. Yeah, like Blaire White is not good at responding to being like called or having transphobic shit done to her.
What a stupid argument. Again, there's a country wide open for you to go to, Miss Saudi Arabia, if you don't want to see people in bikinis. They're saying. So, it's just really funny how, especially in terms of the people on the right that are so upset about it, it's like, aren't y'all the ones with a sense of humor? Aren't y'all the ones that don't get triggered? Oh. So I guess it's just two sides of the coin. It's interesting. So...
Wait, is Blaire trying to take like an enlightened centrist route here? Like the left and the right are both the same side of the triggered coin? To be clear, Blaire White is friends with Alex Jones, okay? Blaire White is friends with the most large conservative public figures out there, some of them being neo-Nazis. I don't know how she's still trying to take the enlightened centrist role when the conservatives she's friends with are advocating for like the extermination of transgenderism. And I'm using I'm using direct quotes now because this is what Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh have said. "Quote unquote, the extermination of transgenderism" is their words that they've been using lately. So I feel I'm directly quoting them. Buy guns. Arm yourselves, trans people. All queer people in my chat. Arm yourselves.
Oh, back to the leftists, because we get to jump around on each side here. The leftists are coming at me saying, "See, Blaire, conservatives call you a man. Conservatives think you're evil." First of all, just to clear up a little misconception, a big misconception. Pretty sure even Wikipedia has this conception.
Is she gonna try to claim that she doesn't? Is she gonna try to say she doesn't claim she's a conservative after faking her political compass test to make it say that she's right-wing libertarian? When she really she would be telling the truth here if she says she's not a conservative, but she's lied and claimed she's a conservative in the past. So what's it gonna be?
When have I called myself a conservative?
I don't know. Blaire White fakes political compass test. Are you sure, Blaire? Are you sure about this? Queen, no.
Okay, that makes sense. Center right, definitely more towards libertarian than authoritarian.
She got the bottom.
That makes sense. Center right, definitely more towards libertarian than authoritarian. That makes complete sense. This is exactly where I am. I feel like it's kind of predictable. I feel like it's probably not a surprise.
It's not just that, though. If you look close enough... Can we go back a bit? If you look close enough, you can literally see... She's so stupid. She's so fucking stupid. This is literally like on the tier of forgetting to close your porn tabs. How do you fake your political compass test results and forget to close the tabs? Like, how... She's been doing this grift for so long. How does she make such a rookie mistake? So yeah, here's an example of her calling herself a conservative, and even then it was a lie.
In fact, I've always said the opposite. I've said, I feel like conservatism denotes, a religious perspective that brings to that ideology, like a religious sort of
Yeah.
worldview, which I do not have. Do I vote Republican? Absolutely. Conservative? Not so much. I have a few conservative values, but as a whole, no. So this is the thing. It's clear to me.
Like, it's things like that, like the political compass test faking thing, as really not big of a deal in the grand scheme of things as it is. Like, no one's hurt by some dumb bimbo YouTuber faking her political compass test result. But, like, it really is a good sort of litmus test for the level of honesty she operates on.
That the overwhelming majority of people hold political perspectives to be part of a group. That's why they hold them. Humans are tribal beings. Humans are collectivists. Human beings naturally are inclined to be part of a group. And to fight against that instinct of joining a tribe, you have to actually actively, consciously do that, right? It is the...
This is some bizarre, like... trying to justify... Okay, people do not get into political movements because humans are naturally, like, by nature oriented towards, like, group living. That's not how that works, okay? The reason why people get into political movements is because those political movements represent their problems and they find camaraderie with them in like, shared, shared issues, right? When we talk about, like, humans being social animals who want to live and be in, like, a social space, that's more of, like, a humans want to live in more tight communities in real life thing. Not so much... Maybe if your life is completely online, but... Yeah, that's more of a lefty thing. Well, apparently Vosh is having stream problems, so everyone's here. Well, welcome, Vosh fans. Welcome. I'm in Seattle now. It's pretty pog. I think I might be hanging out with Vosh today. So that'll be pretty pog. Yeah, welcome. Enjoy the stream.
The unconscious mind that says, I'm going to be a Democrat because I want to have Democrat friends. I want to be in Democrat circles. I'm going to be a Republican because I want to be in Republican circles. I want to have, this is my group, this is my team, and this is your team.
We're going to do edibles?
I know it's shocking,
maybe.
But not everyone's like that. I don't hold any of my right-wing views or values based on who also holds them, right? So if the argument is, see, conservatives are assholes, Blaire, why would you be on the right? What that got to do with me? So I'm supposed to, okay.
So while Blaire White is generally not, like, she's typically pretty mask on. Of all the YouTubers out there on the right who are on this grift and who have been, continuing it into this age of conservative media domination we've been experiencing, Blaire White has remained probably one of the most mask on of all of them, because something that you guys have to realize about specifically Blaire is that much of her audience is made up of, like, centrist, maybe right-leaning, makeup guru, Yas Queen, James Charles watching, like, people in the tea drama makeup community. Like, that's much of the demographic Blaire is speaking to. These are not people who are prone to doing research or anything like that. Like, the closest they're gonna get to, like, inward thought and thinking about maybe they shouldn't be supporting this YouTuber is if another YouTuber they like comes along and calls her out sufficiently enough. Like, these are not people who are buried in politics for the most part that are watching Blaire, which is why she's able to typically keep her rhetoric a little bit more on the enlightened centrist leaning right side of things, right? More like Jeffree Star watching. I really don't know that whole tea makeup community very well. It's all one big blob to me.
So let's just go with your line of thinking here. And first of all, when have I ever been under any illusion that conservatives are not assholes? Not on a whole, obviously. And the idea that, like, all right-wing people feel that way, would I have over 1 million subscribers of right-wing people if that were the case? I really don't think so. Would I have a career if that were the case? I really don't think so. But
do you think maybe right-wing people watch your content, Blaire, because you make content for right-wing people? I think most people would consider you a conservative YouTuber, both conservatives and lefties. You seem to be the only one who claims you're not a conservative. or at least you don't fill the niche of conservative YouTuber. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. Can't have your cake and eat it too, Blaire.
The idea that because some, or even if we want to be very, forgiving of your view here, even if we want to say most, the majority, let's just say, of conservatives are assholes, what that got to do with me? So I'm supposed to, you're right. You know what? Suddenly I don't believe in the Second Amendment because a lot of conservatives are assholes.
Well, because you cater to them, and you collaborate with them, and you support them, and you platform them, and you make your money off of them. And yeah, we literally just... I feel like every single... I could just respond to every point she continues to make in this video with the clip of her faking her political compass test result to make the conservatives happy and her audience. It really is just one of my favorite things, because it's so blatant as well. The other one was the Canadian Cancer Society one. Should we just do that one really fast? Should we make this like a full-on fuck Blaire White calling out her lies thing? Here. Blaire White cervical cancer. You ready for some of the most despicable shit Blaire White has ever done? I have not seen her called out broadly for this.
On the internet, sort of angry at the whole trans women are women mantra.
I'm a natural born motherfucking woman. I'm a woman, baby. You're a trans woman, okay? Cool, do you? But baby, I'm a fucking woman. You ain't gotta put no goddamn cis in front of me. I'm not cis nothing. I'm a woman. Point blank, period. I am a woman.
Rose McGowan famously attacked Caitlyn Jenner, saying that she doesn't know what it's like to be a woman just because she trans. There is a certain set of experiences that women have that trans women do not have, and biological women don't want to feel like that's being erased or conflated necessarily. I don't have the experience of growing up as an adolescent female. I don't have the experience of living a childhood as a girl, and I feel like those are very formative years that really shape who you are, and I think biological women see that. And honestly, while I don't agree with biological women attacking trans women and trying to make them feel like about them being trans, I do feel like there is a worthy conversation to saying that there are different experiences and we're allowed to talk about that. It's not bad to acknowledge.
Remember, way more mask on back then. I mean, even Blaire White has gone more mask off since then, but she's still pretty mask on. The right has gotten decidedly more open with how much they are opposed to the concept of trans rights. All right, here comes the lying bit.
That there's just differences. And honestly, there's a lot that we can learn from each other. And honestly, aside from that, what I think is a bit dangerous is when we blur the lines between science and medicine and medical care. Recently, the Canadian Cancer Society put up a website for transgender women and cervical cancer screening. Except there isn't a trans woman alive that has a cervix, so they can't get cervical cancer.
Ooh. So let's go back to that real fast. So let's look at the part that she shows. You can kind of see it peeking out a little bit. The part that's the big whammy here that she blatantly cuts off. She just shows trans women in cervical cancer screening. If you're a trans woman and you may not have given much thought to Pap tests and cervical cancer, and if you haven't, that makes a fair amount of sense. After all, in order to get cervical cancer, you need to have a cervix. That is, the organ that connects the vagina to the uterus. If you're a trans woman and have not had bottom surgery, you aren't at risk for cervical cancer. And she just kind of cuts it off there. You can kind of read that last bit there, but she shows it on screen for just half a second, saying that no trans woman on Earth has a cervix and thus cannot get cervical cancer. But if we actually go to that exact page and we look at what it says right where she cut it off right here. This is the line where she cut it off at. It continues to say, if, however, you are a trans woman who has had bottom surgery to create a vaginoplasty, and possibly a cervix, there's a very small risk that you can develop a cancer in the tissues of your neovagina or neocervix. The risk depends on the type of surgery you had, the type of tissue used to create your vagina and cervix, and your personal health history. Talk to your healthcare provider to figure out your specific cancer screening needs as part of your overall pelvic health following surgery. So, Blaire White is just a massive fucking liar, okay? And she is willing to spread dangerous lies as well.
You're right. Oh my God, you're so right. Oh my God, I don't have these views on border policy because a lot of conservatives are assholes. Oh my God, you're so right. Oh my God, I don't have all these foreign policy views because conservatives are assholes. You're right. How does that make any sense? As a conscious person, I look at issues and decide what makes the most sense to me. Taking into account the personality.
How is she allowed to get away with this? It's because she's a big YouTuber. She's a big conservative YouTuber. Conservative, like, so there's two types of conservatives out there. They're the ones who are being suckered into all this because they're young, impressionable, they want to feel special, and they're falling for the propaganda. The right's goal has always been to make sure that if young, impressionable, curious, just getting into politics, young Zoomers are getting into politics online, they find right-wing videos that have flooded the algorithm before they find us. That is their goal, and most often it succeeds, right? So there's a lot of people like this, or like that are watching this, and they're falling for it. And a lot of them are just straight-up conservatives who are so far in, they've drank the Kool-Aid so much, they've gotten to the point where being a conservative is virtuous to them. Being cruel to minorities is a virtue. Lying and misrepresenting and twisting the truth is completely okay, as long as it is in service of a conservative worldview that hurts the groups they view as evil, which are minorities, for the most part. Now it's centered mostly around LGBT people.
Of X other person who also thinks the same way on that particular policy, how does that play into at all? I don't understand. And if the argument here is that leftists just treat me so well. Right. So here's the thing. Conservatives have been absolutely disgusting, in replies to this, which is funny, but it's true. However, if we want to just play tit for tat, and if we want to just talk about what's worse. So we have conservatives saying, you're a man, right? You can feel like that's the worst thing in the world. I don't feel like that's the worst thing in the world because I don't feel like being a man is an insult. I'll be a man all day. I'll be a woman all day. I'll be a trans woman all day. I'll be a tranny all day. I don't give a fuck.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's probably the mindset she's had to develop to decide it's no longer worth it anymore.
Right? I'll be any and all of the above, whatever the fuck you want to call me. Miss Thing. However, one thing I don't get from them is death threats. I will say that. So if you're one of the people who thinks that misgendering a trans person is just like the worst thing in the world, I agree. It's effing rude. And it's fucked up, especially under certain circumstances. However, I do get death threats from one side, not the other. Like, that's just, I actually don't think I've ever gotten a death threat from someone on the right. However, there's a very interesting slew of threats of violence from the left over this post. So Zoe.
Cool. I don't support threats of violence against Blaire White. Holy shit. Oh my god, the timing on that pause. The timing on that pause, bro. God damn.
Marshall, this trans woman from British Columbia, who currently all my fans are calling the police on. I live in America and I've dealt with trying to report people in Canada before. It's just like a joke, and Canada is seek help, Canada. So Zoe Marshall, with this lovely string of DMs, who was on Twitter, got suspended off Twitter for sending death threats, says, God, I wish I could peel your skin from your muscles slowly by slowly. F you. Just want to let you know there's a Canadian trans woman out there gunning for you. You're a POS. Delete yourself. Effing T word. Censoring myself because YouTube doesn't like any of these phrases. You're legit the definition of a T word. A bigot trans person. That's
Wait. Blaire White has said the T slur like 5 times in this video so far. Why is she censoring the word out on screen? Does YouTube care less if you say the slur than if you show it on screen and don't say it? That sounds a little bit fucking stupid. Yeah? You know what? Stupid policies like that are on brand for YouTube. I shouldn't be surprised. Sounds about right.
New definition. You're a psychopath. Imagine calling someone a psychopath after you threaten to peel their skin. Cute. Yeah. So
to be clear, by the way, Blaire White is one of the largest figures that is backing up the right wing's push to genocide trans people. To be clear, this is somebody who feels like Blaire White is a large media personality advocating for their erasure. The people that Blaire White is friends with are calling for the extermination of transgenderism, right? I want you to think about it like this. Would you give a lot of shit to a Ukrainian Twitter user who sent a popular pro-Russia YouTuber in the war thing a bunch of death threats? Russia is invading my country. They're destroying it. If I ever saw you, I'd fucking pop you in the head. I would not blame them. I'd be like, I mean, they started it, Maybe don't be in favor of a genocide against trans people. I'm just saying.
And I would be mad if I looked like that too, looking like handsome Squidward. Looking like trans Squidward. I would be mad too. But the point of what I'm trying to say is...
I really... Do you guys think Blaire White has ever criticized a trans person without making a snark comment about their appearance? Do you think it's ever happened? I don't think I can recall a single time that Blaire White has criticized a trans person without making a snarky comment about their appearance and how, in her mind, they don't pass. No, not a I can't think of a single time. She comes off as insecure. I feel like if I got like a view into Blaire White's brain and saw her mental health, it would be like it would leave me scarred. You ever watch a movie that depicts something so depressing happening to other characters, or like to other people, like characters in the story, you come out of it depressed for them for a while? That's how I'd feel if I were to see the inside of Blaire White's brain and find out what the state of her mental health after all these years of subjecting herself to this shit.
If you think that Blaire White, and I'm speaking in third person here because I'm invoking the public, figure version of myself, which is a caricature to people on both sides. Whatever the right wingers make up in their head I am, that's what I am, right? Whatever the left wingers make up in their head that I am, that's what I am, right? To them. So if you're under any misconception,
I mean, yeah, you are playing a character of sorts, a character who is not you in terms of political values, at least, and that character is also a liar, I guess. You see, you can't criticize me for any of the things that I say or do. It's all a character.
That even the public figure,
yes, the Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones defense
version of Blaire White thinks that conservatives are my friend. When have you ever seen Blaire White invoking the public figure Blaire White at a CPAC? When have you ever seen Blaire White at an RNC convention? When have you ever seen Blaire White on the campaign trail for any candidates? And do you think it's because I haven't been invited to these events? Does that make sense?
She's been on multiple right-wing podcasts. I'm pretty sure she's just outright lying here. I've seen her on literally dozens of right-wing shows and podcasts, like, pushing right-wing politics. By the way, Blaire White's bag is not in hardcore politics. She's being disingenuous here. If she made hardcore electoral politics videos, she would have no views and be making no money. The way she supports, the right winning on an electoral level is by pushing conservative ideology in the culture war. She knows this. Everybody knows this. The culture war is basically pushing the single issue voter, vote to the right. So yeah, she knows what she's doing. Even if she's not going on like media tours and supporting certain candidates, the content she makes is pushing conservative ideology in the online culture war. She knows what she's doing.
7-8 years of doing this and being one of the largest right-wing content creators on the planet, actually. There are actually very few with 1 million plus subscribers. The only ones above me really are like the Ben Shapiro's, the Candace Owens, Matt Walsh. Like there's actually like probably less than 10 that are more followed, get more engagement than me. And that's just being objective.
Being more of like a centrist right-winger type that kind of fence sits tends to be more profitable because there's less alienation. That's because you're a grifter. You're afraid of upsetting your audience.
What do you think is more likely? That I have never been invited to any of those things over the course of 7 years, or that I have denied going to any of those things? It's the latter. Because, again, surprisingly, unlike 90% of people who hold political perspectives to join a tribe, I don't do groups. Anytime in my life I've done groups, it's been a mistake. Anytime in school I used to do groups, mistake. Anytime, I don't do groups. I say no to 90% of events. I don't do fundraisers. I don't do nothing.
Okay.
I like being.
Hey, I just realized me and Blaire have the same mic. This is a really solid mic. Let me just say, guys, if you're considering getting a streamer mic that's like good, get the Shure SM7B. That's what this is. I got it as well, right here. I guess it's a really good mic. It's a really solid streamer mic. Right now, it's like the streamer mic. It's not too expensive. It might be SMB7. It's something like that. And I have a Focusrite Scarlett 3rd Gen audio interface for it because it does require extra power from like a audio interface type thing in order to function. So make sure not to skimp on a decent like audio interface too. But yeah, it's a good mic. Any aspiring streamers or YouTubers out there. It's also probably good for music. If you plan to do music, it'll probably work well for that as well.
My ish and be my own person. So I'm sorry that it is so hard for people to conceive that someone else holds political perspectives simply because they think they're true and not because they want to be part of a tribe. I don't fight for a tribe. I fight for individual perspectives that I hold, and I fight for individual things I'm passionate about. And the other thing is, if you want me to be upset about conservatives being shitty about trans people or LGBT people, or, you know, going overboard and like painting all trans people with a certain brush, which absolutely happens, or painting all gay people with a certain brush, that absolutely happens, especially on the far right. And we live in a society right now in the States where like the fringes are they're so loud that everyone thinks that that's everyone, which isn't the case. But even if you want me to sit here,
they're so fringe and loud that okay, to be clear, these are the politicians, all right? These are the actual politicians passing and pushing policy, all right? You don't get to pull the crazy far-right ones are just a small minority thing when those small minority actually have power. The more power a small minority has, the more worried you should be in a political environment. That's not how democracy's supposed to work.
Here and believe that is this huge force for evil, which they are evil. A lot of these people are disgusting and evil. Am I supposed to think that that's worse than sterilizing children? Am I supposed to believe that the far right people,
whenever they say sterilizing children, butchering kids, mutilating, they have a lot of very scary sounding words for medical treatments that are very benign. They have to make literally just standard medical procedures, surgeries, sound as scary as possible. And they've been doing this for a very long time. To be clear, if you're under the age of like 14, maybe 15, there's a lot of time that it takes for, in most countries, here in the West especially, for like especially minors to be able to get gender affirming care, depending on what type of gender affirming care it is. There are not places where there are kids getting bottom surgery. All right, that's not happening. Okay, there are not kids getting bottom surgery anywhere. All right, you might see like a 15 or a 16-year-old get top surgery, but at that point they've already been like confirmed trans and have been like living as a trans person for a long time. By the way, Blaire White has admitted she knew she was trans since she was 5 years old. She's tried to walk it back. She's tried to cope about it and walk it all back, but she just outright said on Joe Rogan she knew she was trans since she was 5 years old. So we know what she actually knows and believes. But yeah, what they actually mean when they say forced sterilization is a common lie in regards to hormone blockers. Hormone blockers have existed for a long time and have been used on cis people for a variety of reasons and as a treatment for a variety of issues. It also turns out that a significant amount of data that has been backed up and found and backed up by a variety of very famous medical institutions that are now have been declared enemies by conservatives, have determined that they are a good treatment for gender dysphoria. Essentially what hormone blockers do is temporarily pause puberty. You can get off of hormone blockers, and in the vast majority, and I mean vast majority of cases, bounce right back and just have a normal puberty, and it's all good. But what hormone blockers do is basically delay puberty, because, as many of you may know, if you go through the wrong puberty as a trans person, it's quite a bit more work to undo that and get to where you want to be, like in terms of your presentation. All it does is slightly stunt growth. It does slightly stunt growth. Not much, though. Regardless, though, it's basically like the best option for like the meantime while a young person is to make sure that they're actually trans. Now, to be fair, there is an extremely low regret rate for trans-affirming surgeries and procedures, like way lower regret rate than most surgeries, both like vital and cosmetic. But despite that, people still worry about this idea of people being, regretting it and it being a massive mistake, and we can't provide this because what if people regret it? But they still have quite the amount of time to make sure this isn't just a phase, this isn't just a mistake. There's quite the waiting period there before any further trans-affirming surgeries come along that are considered more irreversible. None of them are quite irreversible, to be fair. Like, I'm pretty sure all of them can be reversed, but like not back to how things would have been before, right? Technically, they're all reversible, right? Like, if you're a trans dude and you decide to detransition, you can get, and you had, like, top surgery, you can get fake breasts. If you got a phalloplasty, I'm sure they can give you a vaginoplasty. And you can take estrogen. Like, the option for detransitioners, the best option for them is for trans-affirming care to be available for them to detransition, right? Like, isn't that the solution for detransitioners? Why are the detransitioners now all out there arguing against access to the thing that supposedly they need to detransition? Isn't it also weird how so many detransitioners aren't detransitioning? The most popular recent detransitioner was a trans dude who was detransitioning, supposedly, but he then went on to reveal that he's not actually detransitioning because he thinks he's too far along. So he's a detransitioner who regrets it, but he's not actually detransitioning. He's going to keep going. He's going to keep taking the testosterone. And he's going to keep on getting the procedures and stuff. He's just warning everybody else not to do it, because he regrets it. Jesus Christ. This space is so filled with just the most disgusting, ghoulish, money-grubbing clout goblins.
Right. Who genuinely have hate in their heart. Are worse than the standard leftist position of sterilizing kids.
Yep, hormone blockers don't sterilize kids, but okay. There's no... By the way, this is the same rhetoric which conservatives have, of course, doubled down on. Do you guys know the Boston's Children's Hospital? The one that after Libs of TikTok claimed falsely that they were doing bottom surgery on minors there, on like 4-year-olds and stuff there, had to shut down for a day because of bomb threats. The right has basically labeled that as like the children's hospital they're attacking. PragerU recently put out a video where they continue to push that claim. They of course don't mention the bomb threats the children's hospital got. These people are literally in support and covering up for bomb threats on children's hospitals that were made under false pretenses, those same false pretenses they continue to push. These people are genuinely evil. If these people existed in a movie, we would unambiguously call them evil and say it was bad writing.
It is a standard liberal position. And here come the liberals that follow me, who I love, by the way, but you know it's true, who are going to comment, I'm a standard liberal, I don't believe that. I'm glad. You're sane, you come to your senses, I appreciate you. But you have to admit, when you have the president, the Democratic president, every standing institution, every liberal college, the mainstream media,
Oh, and also every single medical institution and medical organization and academic organization that researches all of this. I love how, like, conservatives are at the point of listing all of the extremely reputable medical and academic institutions that back up and affirm the identities of trans people. And now because they used to say facts don't care about your feelings, the data agrees with us, yada yada. But now that like enough lefties have gotten good enough at just citing the data that disagrees with them, now they've declared war on the institution of medicine. They've declared war on doctors and teachers and colleges and medical trials and all these things, because they can't claim facts are on their side anymore. They have to claim the left have somehow infiltrated all of the institutions now, and that's why none of the facts agree with them, because the left changed the facts. We infiltrated it and we changed the facts to agree with us so they would be wrong. That's the only explanation for why the facts disagree with everything they stand for. Medicine is too woke now.
Nickelodeon has cartoon characters with top surgery scars. It is the standard liberal position to give children sex changes, to sterilize children, to take children to drag shows.
Okay. That's not the standard left-wing position, by the way. I assure you, as somebody who has now spent... I grew up 20 years in Florida, 2.5, nearly 3 years in Palm Springs, California, went all the way up the coast, visited Portland and a bunch of cities and areas all up the coast, and now live in Seattle. I can assure you, after seeing all these different parts, I've also visited, like, Massachusetts, New York, all up the country, and Colorado. I've been to a lot of places, the Deep South, and some of the most progressive places you can imagine. I assure you, going to a Pride event is not a common occurrence for the vast majority of people, even living in a liberal or left-wing city, okay? They happen and they're there, but most liberal or left-wing people are not going to pride events or drag shows or watching RuPaul's Drag Race. I don't, and I'm like a super lefty. Like, it's just that it's this is just a fantasy. This is a fantasy of like the lefty you see in Twitter videos that you get outraged at.
So you have the far right that are absolutely shitty and deserve to get trolled just as much as the leftists. But this is the standard leftist position. So even if you want to tell me, it's like, if you want me to ask which is worse, I'm going to say the standard leftist position of child sex changes. I'm not going to sit here and think that suddenly I have to be on the left because they're conservatives, they're assholes. Okay? I already knew that.
This fantasy of the child sex change is like what the right has used to demonize trans people and the trans rights movement for so long, and they've yet to be able to prove that it's happening. The closest they've come was that children's hospital they lied about in Boston and then proceeded to have shut down for a day because of bomb threats. Do you guys remember when abortion was the big boogeyman of the right? And abortion clinics and hospitals that provided abortions would get shut down because of terror threats and bomb threats, and doctors would be assaulted, women going into Planned Parenthoods, even for just natal care, like not even getting abortions, just going there to get, prenatal care, like getting assaulted by conservative protesters. This is just that, but for trans people. That's all this is. Expect to see these big protests happening outside of gender clinics where conservatives start assaulting parents bringing their trans kids into the clinics. They're going to start, they're going to murder doctors that provide gender-affirming care, just like they did on the abortion issue. This is just the beginning of their attack on trans people. Look back to how they attacked the left and doctors and medical institutions on abortion, or stem cell research, for how they're going to do this. Xana Planned Parenthood in my area was firebombed a few months ago. Oh, it happens all the time now, but it was the conservative thing. They were supporting the firebombings on national TV, saying Planned Parenthood is a baby murder factory, and these are heroes on national television back in the day. That was how bad it was. Just like how they're saying the doctors who are providing gender-affirming care are butchers who are abusing children now. The only logical conclusion to the audience that's hearing that is they need to go murder these doctors, which is going to happen eventually.
If you read my caption with a brain, you can see I'm trolling both sides. I'm trolling the cringy conservative meme that is a mind F when you would apply it to me, and I'm triggering the anti-gun people. And that was...
Maybe I'm blind, but I don't see a bulge at all. Like, if Blaire White said, oh, by the way, I got bottom surgery, this is my way of announcing it, I'd be like, oh, okay. So, where's the joke? Yeah, there's no bulge. If there was a bulge, if there was, like, a very clear bulge, then it would be an obvious joke, but there is none. Yeah, so, where's the joke? No bulge, no joke. I would have laughed if there was a bulge. Hell, you could have shoved a sock in there and it would have done the joke better.
Is the intention. It's really interesting. I wanted to kind of talk about one of the main things I get asked when I meet, very rarely by the way.
To be clear, I'm just going to cut through all of her lies and cope and bullshit here. This post was meant, her intention with this post was to do two things, okay? One was to satiate the chasers in her audience. A lot of conservative right-wing chasers in her audience. I mean, that's obvious. It's not... Yeah, obviously. And that's what the selfies are for. The other part was to trigger lefties. And thus, triggering lefties was meant to please the conservatives, right? Like, this is only a comment meant to upset lefties. It's not a joke. There's no joke here that's supposed to be, like, funny or anything. Like, she has no bulge there. So, like, the joke doesn't hit. It's very clear she was trying to take a dig at the left while also posting a thirst trap for her chaser right-wing fans. And it didn't work out how she expected it to. I mean, actually, it did get a fair amount of likes, so I guess the chasers in her audience did enjoy it. God. And by the way, I should mention, when I call people chasers, like, I've seen the Twitter people who say, like, you're a chaser if you find any trans person attractive, pretty much, or even if you just find trans people attractive. That's not my standard of what a chaser is, okay? The people who follow Blaire White and talk about her in some of her comment sections are like, let's just say the things they say are pretty, they're pretty chasery, okay? They're pretty creepy, I think.
People in right-wing media in person, because again, I don't go to events, I don't hang out with people, I don't like being friends. That's the other thing. People like saying, Blaire, your friends really don't support you. Your friends secretly hate you. Who are my friends? Who do y'all think are my friends? Y'all think I'm kicking it with Ben Shapiro?
Holy shit.
Y'all think I'm kicking it with...
I ain't no Destiny invented leaning into the mic. Thank you for the history lesson, Beelzebub.
Candace Owens? Y'all think I'm kicking it with Matt Walsh? Who do you guys think are my friends?
Alex Jones.
Friend, really,
and
who is
Steven
in
Crowder.
Media, and he's not even a right-winger, he's an anarchist, that's Michael Malice. And I'm cool with certain people, and, you know, maintain, like, a help...
You literally go on, like, you've been on Alex Jones's podcast as recently as a few months. Tim Pool, yeah, she was on there recently. Like, these are some of the largest conservative figures that exist. Streaming, Destiny clone. That's actually unironic. To be fair, there's more truth in that than there is in any of the rest of it, because Destiny was one of the first ever streamers. Like him or not, he was literally, like, one of the first ever streamers. Period. Like, period. Not politics, not gaming, just one of the first ever streamers, period.
The relationship with boundaries, but friends to me are people you talk to on a regular basis, that you see in your real life, that don't have anything to do with work, and that's it. So this idea of Blaire White's
friends, so much so that, like, Twitch's layout copies Destiny's site. You guys know that, right? I feel like I didn't know this until fairly recently. And it's the same format my site does, because my site's built off of Destiny's base code, because it's open source on GitHub. If I go to Twitch right now, this is such a stun lock. You're joking? I'm not joking. Destiny literally built DGG really far back. And I'm pretty certain... The fuck? No! Why does Twitch auto play sound on the stream they suggest? Who's live right now? Hassan? You see this big picture mode? Right here? You know where they got this layout from big picture mode, right? Format my site does, because it's exactly where they got it from. It's like, it's known. It's like a known thing. So that's how far back it goes. It's pretty OG. Credit where credit is due.
Y'all swear you know who my friends are. Y'all think David
even
my
Twitch
friends?
copied Destiny's website.
No. My friends are friends that I know outside of this. In fact, I was giving someone some advice yesterday. There's another trans woman, and I won't say her name just because I don't want to reveal, like, a personal conversation, obviously. But a trans woman who's, like, trying to make her way up in the ranks of political commentary on the right. And I just reached out to her because I was like, you know what? I just want to let her know that we're in a very unique position, so I have her back if she ever needs to talk to me, because it gets crazy, clearly. And I told her if I could give you...
Okay, this video's starting to bore me. Okay, I don't care about fat phobia. It's always just cringe shit where it's like, aren't fat people bad? Aren't fat people bad? Let's make fun of fat people, because fat people are bad. I fucking... It's so cringy. Hold on, where's the... Okay. Wait, are you shitting me? Canadian trans shop teacher with massive prosthetic breasts no longer teaching at school. Wait, she covers the teacher being fired, but doesn't cover the fact that it was a psyop? Are you fucking... I mean, that is in line with Blaire White to completely lie and misrepresent a story, but, like... of course. I thought maybe she would take the L and be like, I guess we got pranked on this one. It was all a meme, but no, she's gonna hold on to the narrative, huh? Wait, is that the pic of the teacher normally? I think one on the left is like a pic of the teacher without the giant prosthetic breasts, and the one on the right is the one where they're trolling. She couldn't resist? Yeah, the grift is too enticing, I guess. The grift is too strong. Well, I'm glad we could catch up on Blaire White, and I really hope that a bunch of you were able to learn some new things about the continuous repeating lies of Blaire White in this video, because goddamn. There is an absolute ridiculous amount of them. And if you have any other good examples of Blaire White just blatantly lying with like really good evidence, I'd love you to send them to me because they're always really funny when you can catch her in the act. But you know what to do if you enjoyed this video. I really enjoy you watching. It's been fantastic. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. You guys know the drill. And with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.